News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
Newstalk KGVO, AM 1290 and now 101.5 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
More drama at the Marcus Karma trial. Good morning, everyone. Congratulations. You made it. It's Friday, December the 12th, 2014. Right now we have a partly cloudy sky, very pleasant 28 degrees in Missoula. Thank you so much for joining us, and our newscast this morning is sponsored by Temp-Right Service. You have any plumbing or heating problems, Team Blue. They're folks to call. Their number is 728-1111. Our top story this morning, a lead detective who investigated the shooting of a German exchange student by a Montana man says it appears the man adjusted his aim before firing the shot that killed the 17-year-old. Lead investigator Detective Guy Baker spent most of the day on the stand yesterday. After interviewing Karma and examining the evidence, Baker provided a description of blood spatter evidence.
I would say this void right here was left from a crouch position of Deeren with his arm injured and bleeding, and that void is there. And when he stands up and he's shot with the fatal round, the high-speed spatter goes over the top of that void, and it's not truly a void anymore because there's high-speed spatter over the larger blood transfer in the area.
At this point, Deeren Dede's mother was in tears after collapsing in her husband's arms. In that testimony, Baker then brought up the comments made by Karma before the shooting.
Within a few days of this shooting at his residence, Mr. Karma had made statements at Great Clips that were overheard by multiple witnesses, both a customer and 3 employees, that he'd been staying up late at night and he was going to shoot the next kid that came in his garage.
After examining the evidence, both from the interview and at the scene, Baker and fellow Detective Dean Christensen arrived at a decision.
Detective Christensen contacted the on-call county attorney and discussed it with them, and the decision was made that we were going to arrest Mr. Karma.
And did you have a charging recommendation?
Yes.
What was that?
Deliberate homicide.
The defense will continue their cross-examination of Baker this morning. Also at the Karma trial yesterday, portions of phone calls from Karma to Janelle Flager from the Missoula County Jail were played to the jury. In one segment, Karma asserts that the shooting should be covered by the Castle Doctrine.
Castle Doctrine is my perception, not anyone else's. If I think he's armed and dangerous, then he is, and I'm justified by the doctrine.
In another segment, Karma said Deeren Dede became a felon when he decided to enter Karma's garage.
Let's not forget, this kid who was killed is a felon. He was committing felony crimes in our house. It's not an innocent 17-year-old kid, it's a felon. Like, everybody should rejoice that our neighborhood is safer.
Karma and Flager were both aware that all phone calls were being recorded at the time. A testimony continues this morning in Missoula District Court. The Confederated Salish and Kootenai Tribes and Governor Steve Bullock announced agreement on a new water rights compact yesterday. The Water Rights Commission will sign off on the agreement soon, and once completed, the state legislature will vote on the final issue. Montana Department of Justice Deputy Attorney General Corey Swanson says this version is better than what has come before.
And we believe this agreement that they've reached is indeed good for the irrigators and for the state. We see this as better than the previous version, than the compact that failed at the last legislature. The biggest difference is that the water use agreement was changed in the compact.
Last legislative session, the compact was finalized in February. After the session had already begun, Swanson said there should be less confusion this time.
This time, I think it's a different matter for 2 reasons. First, because the deal has been reached still in December, so it's a couple months ahead of last time. The second reason I think it's a different situation now is because everybody has really been talking about this thing for the past 2 years. The Water Policy Interim Committee, which is an interim legislative committee, studied it in depth.
A joint press release from Governor Bullock and Attorney General Tim Fox says the new water compact will, and I quote, protect all existing rights for stock water, municipal, domestic, commercial, industrial, and other non-irrigation uses while respecting tribal and treaty rights, end quote. Montana's Political Practices Commissioner has ruled that Planned Parenthood violated campaign laws by not altering a legislative candidate that would be the target of an attack ad. The Billings Gazette reported yesterday the ad was against Billings Republican Tanya Shelnut. In an opinion dated Tuesday, Commissioner Jonathan Model said the law requires anyone running attack ads in the last 10 days before an election to give the targeted candidate 2 days' notice to prepare a response. Planned Parenthood acknowledged it did not comply with the law and self-reported the same violation against another legislative candidate, Missoula Republican Dick Hames. A spokeswoman for Planned Parenthood did not return a phone call. An 11-year-old Great Falls girl is reunited with her classmates for the first time since she was injured in a September plane crash that killed her grandmother. The Great Falls Tribune reports Rachel Lukasic chatted and laughed with students at Sacagawea Elementary School on Tuesday. She suffered serious burns over 40% of her body in the crash September 2nd of a small plane southeast of Great Falls. Her grandmother, 67-year-old Susan Majerus of Great Falls, was killed. Missoula police have filed charges against 2 individuals caught on video eating food off the shelves at the Good Food Store. Missoula Police Public Information Officer Travis Welsh has more.
We have discovered the identities of the 2 individuals involved in that particular case, and in fact they have now been charged with several counts each of theft for doing the same type of activity. They are 20-year-old Kimberly Stevers and 20-year-old Michael Perker, both of Missoula.
On Monday, yet another man was caught on video stealing from the Good Food Store.
Separate case, different date and time. A single male by himself loaded food and alcohol items into a backpack and left the store without paying. He is said to have left on a bicycle. He is a white male, about 5'7", and the backpack was described as being gray and red in color.
Pictures of the third suspected thief can be seen on our website at Newstalk KGVO. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Montana announced a $1 million settlement yesterday with State Auditor Monica Lindine's office. Lindine says her office, quote, never dreamed they would receive the number of complaint calls they had, end quote.
We had well over 340-some consumers call our office with complaints about Blue Cross Blue Shield, which was more than 3 times what we have ever had in the past. Initially, there was obviously some problems that all companies were experiencing due to the new Affordable Care Act and the federal exchange that was in place. However, the Blue Cross Blue Shield had a number of other issues.
Lindine says BCBS was failing to pay claims, said it had fixed problems when it hadn't, and violated state law by failing to communicate with her office.
You know, the service issues that we experienced primarily affected our individual market. And we have resolved many of these issues and are now on the path to provide better service than ever before. Things that we've done to enhance our service and resolve some of these issues, we've doubled down on our resources. We've added customer service staff and established a dedicated call center primarily for individual members, just like we do the other members of Blue Cross.
That's Blue Cross Blue Shield spokesman John Duran. News Talk Time 6:10.
News Talk KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
Another morning where we could see a few sprinkles and showers, but for the most part in the Missoula area, we stay dry, getting into the upper 30s as we head into this afternoon. I'm meteorologist Matt Gray for KECI 13, your first alert station.